We are tonight's entertainment.
You can't handle the truth.
The fire rises.
Pizza time.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So it begins.
You know how much I sacrifice?
You think that's air you're breathing?
Groovy.
I don't have friends. I got family.
We are sex people! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Craft Services.
Hi, Parth.
Hey, Trent.
You're looking well.
You as well. We were having
have a podcast. We have a film podcast.
Yeah, that we do. And at the beginning of these podcasts, we sort of tend to discuss what we've ingested and what's sort of rummaging around in our digestive system. So, Trent, let me be the first to ask, what have you been eating most recently?
Oh, so if you're asking what's rummaging around inside me, if you want to,
Heyo.
it would be 2 slices of pizza from Crispy Pizza, which is a New Brunswick establishment.
Classic New Brunswick boy behavior.
Oh, like New Brunswick bingo board, so New Brunswick core. It's because it's in that city, so therefore it's like affiliated with that place. But it's right across from where I have my creative writing class, and I hadn't eaten anything really yet today because I've been editing like a madman, and so I finally rewarded myself after all of the day's events were over with 2 slices of my favorite type of slice from there. It's the hot honey vodka pepperoni slice.
Trent, I've got to try this.
It's like all those words: pepperoni, honey, vodka, pizza. Those are all good words separately, so put them together. It's no part.
Dang!
It has a very interesting flavor profile. But speaking of, what have you been eating? Parth has changed his backdrop from what we'll name as an unnamed classmate of ours, who we were laughing at, you know who you are, and he's changed it to a crispy pizza. So he's somewhere. He looks like his head is like a big pepperoni right now, to put things in perspective.
Well, also, like, sometimes when Zoom is, like, figuring out what to make your background, it makes my microphone, which is in front of my face, part of the background.
I see that now.
It's making the mic look like a pepperoni.
But also, it's like now the pizza is sort of like enveloping you and sort of surrounding you. You know when Mr. Incredible gets hit with like the black suction balls and they grow up? That's like you.
That shit used to freak me out, bro.
Yeah, Parth's like, I remember when I was 2 years old and I have a distinct memory of seeing that film.
Well, my family and I went to...
Yeah, Parth, what have you been eating? What's rummaging inside of you?
No, glad you're so interested. My family and I went to an Indian restaurant for lunch. Trent, I did tell you this prior to us recording.
We were talking about we were discussing this offline.
Yeah, just talking about how my life is a living hell because of how busy and stressed I get. But this was a nice gesture by my parents to take me and my brother out for lunch. Got a meal in me, which is pretty cool. And I had a samosa sandwich, with mango lassi.
Oh,
and
that's one of my faves.
Paneer sizzler. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty fucking cool.
Color me sizzly. That's what I like to say.
Okay, so should we cue the intro?
Sure.
Well, you don't seem so sure about it. You think now is the time, or?
Let's do it.
Okay, cue the intro.
Oh, jeez. I hope you cued it prior to this. How have we gotten this
Trent,
far,
I still haven't
Parth?
cued it.
Please, God, relieve me of this pressure. Put me out of my misery.
Cue the intro.
Welcome back to Craft Services, where we talk about the movies. Each week we talk about a film and hopefully have a crew member of that film to talk with us about their experience working on the picture. This week, or rather, last week, Who'd we have, Parth? I know who we had. Can you tell me?
Sure, I can. We had cinematographer Eric Steelberg on to talk about his work on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Or am I mistaken?
No, you were. Brr, I'm getting a. There's a chill.
Oh, you're getting a little chilly?
There's like a. Oh no, and now I think there's a
Well-
ghost, but it's like the cold kind.
Trent, I got a
Brr.
question for you.
What?
What killed the dinosaurs?
Ice
Ice Age!
Parth, I thought you were gonna ask me a different question.
Which is?
Who you gonna call? It's the frozen Ghostbusters.
I don't think they're frozen. Oh.
Well, we'll have to find. Well, you
Yeah.
know, we haven't. You know, we cut the discussions out of the show, so we're really not gonna know whether or not the Ghostbusters end up frozen or not.
Wow. Way to sell us out, Trent. But Eric Steelberg, this section actually is a little light on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire talk. It's mostly him talking about some other movies he's worked on. We sort of do the 1-2 punch of Juno and 500 Days of Summer, which was kind of a 1-2 punch for his career, as we find out. And I think that was a pretty interesting segment. We also
Wait,
talked.
Parth, you're forgetting about how he's worked on other interesting films such as Dolomite Is My Name, Up in the Air, the TV program Ahsoka. For all you fucking nerds out there, and then we don't get around to discussing it, but he is DPing the upcoming SNL 75 film, so worked on some cool stuff, working on cool stuff, talking with us, even though
Some
we're
cool
not,
guys.
even though we're not cool and he is cool.
Oh, wow. Not where I thought that was going to go.
So yeah, everyone is cool and everything is cool except for Parth and I.
Trent, you're one of the more surprising people in my life. Can I say that?
Boo!
Whoa. You scared me, almost like a ghost.
But was it,
I wish someone was here
do you
to
also feel
bust
cold?
Here's Eric Steelberg, part 2.
So you said you shot in London, and we were wondering how long was the shoot, and was it exclusively in London?
Principal photography was exclusively in London. The shoot was about 3.5 months. So I think it was about 68, 69 days. All on sets in London with a couple small exterior sets we built. Like I just mentioned, we built the library steps out in a parking lot in our studio. And pretty much everything else was interior, other than some second unit, some days when we had one location shoot that's in the movie at the beginning in old New York, 1908 New York, which we shot at an old estate north of our studios. But other than that, yeah, it was all on sets in London, and then we had a second unit, like an action unit, go to New York and shoot the car stuff, some exteriors of the firehouse. But even in the movie, all the firehouse stuff in the movie, the outside of the firehouse with people, all the inside stuff, it's all on soundstage. That we had to make look like it was outside. We were supposed to go to New York with the main unit, but we ended up not being able to because of the strikes that happened. So we gave all the New York stuff to our second unit, and they did a fantastic job.
Did that scheduling wise, like the strike stuff, where did that fall in the schedule for you guys?
The writer's strike happened right before, like 2 weeks before we finished the movie, and then the actor's strike happened. Well, it must have been a few days or a week after we finished.
So you guys were like mostly pretty much done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then we did additional photography around Thanksgiving.
You talked a little bit about, you're talking about like keeping the same camera packages and lens packages. Could you like, for the more technically inclined listeners, like talk a little bit about like more specifically about what you were using on set in terms of lenses?
Sure. Yeah. So Panavision's my longtime camera partner. They've always been great to me since, I'll just say like I was a kid. I wasn't a kid, but since before I knew what I was doing, and I started doing short films. Panavision's always been there. So it was we used Panavision. We shot the movie on an Arri Alexa LF, large format camera, mini LF, if they really want to be specific. And then we used the T series anamorphic lenses, which were expanded to use the cover the large format sensor. And this is the same lenses I used on Afterlife, and the same lenses and camera combination I was also used on Hawkeye. It just, for me, the Alexa LF chip combined with the Panavision T series anamorphics is just such a great cinematic look. And whatever it is that those lenses and that chip and that color science do with the way I light just looks like that's just what a movie looks like to me. And I've looked at all the different cameras and all the different lens combinations, and wherever I'm at in my professional creative journey right now, that is just kind of like the ultimate combination. I absolutely love it. I love the color, and I love the way the lens flares. I love the way the lenses breathe. I love the shape of the lenses. And when I say shape, I'm talking about the image. It's just great. I feel like I can do anything with it, and it worked really well for all those projects, and particularly Frozen Empire.
Parth, do you want to transition into non-Ghostbusters related questions?
Sure.
Cool. So I looking through your IMDb, what grabbed me immediately was the 1-2 punch of Juno into 500 Days of Summer, because I was like, what a pipeline that is, and you had America's youth in the palm of your hand. And so obviously Juno's Jason Reitman, but I was wondering how you got involved with Mark Webb and 500 Days of Summer.
Great question. So one of the producers on Juno was Mason Novick, and Mason discovered Diablo Cody and is her manager. And Mason also was the producer, or was about to produce, a movie called 500 Days of Summer. So after the success of Juno, he said, "Hey, there's this script that I think you should read. It's by these two writers. It's really great. It's really fresh in a very similar way to Juno." And we got this really cool director working on it. He comes from music videos, but he's got like a great vision. He's like, "You should really talk to him. I think you'd like him. It's a really cool movie." And they want to shoot it. It's like the same budget, same amount of days. It's going to be in LA. I was like, "Oh yeah, great." And I read it and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I love it." And then I had a phone call with Mark because I was shooting something else. So I never met Mark in person. It was just all over the phone. And I don't know what I said or what I did, but they're like, "Yeah, would you like to come do it?" And I said, "Absolutely." And then I met Mark and we started our prep period, and it was awesome. And Mark was so prepared. I remember Mark rolled out, like, he had made a giant, like 15-foot long scroll of paper, and it had the whole timeline of all the days organized. Wow. because the script jumps back and forth. He had actually put it in
chronological order.
So that, it was done like, it was like a beautiful, like, art piece. It was all design. It was like this, I mean, it should be in a museum somewhere. And it was a thing he helped pitch, and it was great. And he helped, he was always asking me to be involved in all the decisions with production design and wardrobe. And it was fun because I was so involved, and I hadn't been that involved in anything ever. I mean, that was so early in my career, but it was just fun to do. Like, I really felt a part of all the creative decisions. Even if it was just me being there while they were being made, but it was fun. And then we shot it, and that was just great to be with those actors and see it come to life on set. And yeah, that was a real special experience. And again, another movie received very well. I was really fortunate. That was a good time. A really good time.
I love 500 Days of Summer. I just have to say.
The expectation versus reality thing. I in particular, talking to the DP, I feel like we had to talk about it. And like the fantasy sequences. That's just super super cool movie.
Yeah, and then all that stuff in black and white, 16 millimeter.
Yep.
And I remember saying to Mark, I was like, "Oh, we're just going to make this look like a black and white 16." He goes, "No, we're going to shoot black and white 16." I said, "Really?" He goes, well, yeah, why wouldn't we? I was like, I don't know. Like, it just seems like something that the studio would be like, no, we'll just make the 35 look like.
Right.
And then the whole opening title sequence is all in Super 8. You know,
Mhm,
it
oh,
was
wow,
just,
yeah.
because Mark came from music videos. Mark's like, no, you want to make something to look like something, you just do that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we're not faking anything. You know, like, let's go for it. This is what it is. And the studio is just like, okay, you know. I mean, it's a non-traditional story, so might as well have a little non-traditional approach to shooting it, right? It was fun. Like, what a great time that set was. It's really, really hard, really difficult.
Was it a quick shoot?
It was 30 days in LA, you know, film. It is actually impossible to make that movie now in LA on film in that schedule and that time with those kinds of actors. Sadly, it's impossible, but it was great. It's a great time. Super, super hard though. Very hot summer.
It's almost like there were 500 days of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't.
But it was great. Great fun. Shot in some of the best locations around LA. It was a love letter to LA, you know, in downtown. And
Sure.
some of the place where the benches isn't even there anymore.
Oh, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. It was there for a long time. They kept the bench there for a long time, and the city had put a plaque on the bench. And remember when the movie came out, there was people would go there to propose and, you know, fall in love, and, like, you know, girlfriends, boyfriends, you know, so taking pictures on the.
It's
kind of a crazy place
given
to...
how it works out for those two characters in the film. But
yeah, I think that either the writers or Mark got a key to the city too from that movie.
Wow.
It was a thing. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And we shoot the last scene we shot in the famous Bradbury building. It was great fun.
Another movie you worked on, which I watched for the first time while in like COVID lockdown mode, because it was on Netflix, was Up in the Air. And if you could just like talk about making that, just because, like a movie that for some reason really affected me when I was in COVID lockdown, which I think was part of it, but also a good movie. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, and that was right after 500 Days of Summer. Like, wow. I had a very
Trifecta.
Interesting three years of my life. It was, I mean, I look back, I can't even believe that was me. I got those opportunities, but you know, Up in the Air is based on a book by Walter Kern that Jason really responded to, because if you're in the film business, there's a lot of similarities to Ryan Bingham and Up in the Air, you know, life on the road. Not just if you're in the film business, but I mean, a lot of people who travel for work. But since we are filmmakers, it really it spoke to us in an interesting way. And Jason, and you know, they wrote a script for it, and he said, you know, this is gonna be my next movie. And after Juno, and we're going to go all around the U.S. shooting it, because you can't do a movie about a traveling guy unless you travel too. And so we did it, and we shot in, I think it was 5 different cities. We based the production out of St. Louis, and it was cool because I went to places that I'd never seen before in the U.S. I had never been to St. Louis, had no reason to, and fell in love with the city. Everywhere we shot, we fell in love with. And when you're shooting, you know, you get to see more interesting things that aren't kind of like in the tour guide, you know, because we're looking for the places that the people, the locals, you know, spend time in and live in. And we got to shoot in all these different airports, which was really cool, because we would have access and information to things that you normally don't get or people don't even know about. So we became experts in how airports are run and the challenges surrounding that. The success of Up in the Air is due to the fact that we were able to figure out how to shoot in all these different places. Again, something that I don't think could be done these days. It was just it was just like lightning in a bottle, you know, the right script, the right group of people, the right time, the right actors. And I think everybody that understood it had lived different parts of that story. And so we all became invested in a really unique way. And I think that's one of the reasons it's so successful. We just all understood the characters and everything. And then on top of it, which was interesting in a very bittersweet way, is that, we made this movie right after, the financial crisis, when all those people were losing their jobs. So the material was very timely because people were getting fired left and right, or had been fired recently left and right by people like that character. And Jason, we had started interviewing these people on camera, real, in all these different cities we went to, real people that had lost their jobs, and were interviewing about them losing their jobs. And he wanted to film that just to have it on record, whatever. And then it was, kind of later in the process of making the movie that he said, I think I might want to cut these into the movie as these transitions. And so all those interviews are of real people talking about how they lost their jobs. Yeah.
That's like
so
horrible,
there was a real
but
human,
like good filmmaking.
it was horrible, but and a lot of them were very emotional and crying. And it was actually really hard for us to film, because here we are being paid and having jobs to do this stuff, filming people talk about how they've lost their livelihood. And it's a very strange feeling. And then we're like, oh, great. It was hard not to feel like we were exploiting them, but we also realized, based on what they would tell us, it was also really like cathartic for them to be able to share their story and like actually put it out there into the world through this movie, because it normalized what they were going through, and also kind of like gave respect to what they'd go through. That just news about people being laid off, it wasn't just a headline. It was actually these are the faces of it. These are the real people. And there's a story about each person, and there's tens of thousands of these people that had this story. Like, there were the amount of people that wanted to come share their story. Like, we couldn't film everybody. And it was pretty crazy, and then we would ask them in some situations, or we would say, okay, we're going to have you revisit the process again, and we're going to fire you on camera again, and we'd like you to see how you react, show us what happened. And we had our line producer sit there and be the person trying to fire them again, and they would then react and then go back into that moment, and it was pretty intense. It was pretty intense, but I think really necessary for the movie. And that's one of the things that gave the movie so much humanity and relatability that ultimately led to its success and everybody, I think, really liking it. It might be a unique character, but that movie has themes that everybody can relate to. And that was a real special movie. It was a real special movie. I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity to work on something like that again. I hope so, but
over the course of your career, obviously starting out with more on the ground movies and now working in more VFX heavy stuff, obviously little exceptions to both, but what have you found, if any, to be like your spanning principles that you sort of try to inject into every project you're on, or is being a DP just like giving the project exactly what it needs?
I think it's more so giving the project what it needs. I like to think that I don't carry things over from project to project, other than just general experience and a maturity and a confidence that I've gained in my decision and making decisions after, working for a long enough period of time. I mean, that's the thing that I see that I've gotten from experience, is just confidence in decision making. Knowing that if I want to push something, I can commit to it and not be worried that like, oh, am I making the right decision? Am I making the wrong decision? Should I be doing this? Just committing and going for it. I like to think that I start every project I like to think that I have a clean slate going into everything. I want to give every movie a unique approach. And I say that obviously, of course, it's impossible to do. There's always going to be, I have the things that I like to do as a cinematographer. There's storytelling things I like to do that I've either learned or just through experience, or just become, a fan of and from other movies. And it's hard because I sit there going, oh yeah, I like to think that I start every movie fresh. And then people go, oh yeah, I see that you have this very distinctive look. I go, I do? Like, I don't, well then I feel like I'm failing because I feel like I start fresh everything. I don't want to have like a distinctive look. I like to think that I give every movie its own approach. So in my head, I do. In my head, everything is a fresh approach, but I don't know. In the case of something like, well, then I say this and then I go, oh yeah, but then I did, these movies all on this camera and this lens because I really like it. So, although I see that as more of like, a carpenter having his favorite sets of tools, but still building different things, that's just like, these are just the tools I like, and I know exactly how they work and I know exactly what they're going to give me and I know exactly what they're capable of. And I like having that. I like having that constant. That being said, every movie I'll still shoot camera tests, even if it's the same stuff I've been using, because my approach to the material and lighting and how I want to lens things and how I want to present things is always different. I always want to make sure or check to see if those tools still will allow me to change up the creative, or if those tools are going to restrict me, or if I need to look at new tools. I still look at other cameras and other lenses for every project, but I have lately still ended up on that same camera and lens package. And on this movie I'm about to start, it's really interesting because I'm going so far away from the tools that I've grown accustomed to for the last 5 years that it's kind of thrown me off balance a little bit, because this new movie we're shooting on 16 millimeter film with no visual effects and it's very low speed film, which means I use a lot more light. And so it's shifting my whole thought process a little bit. I don't know if that's really, it's kind of a non-answer to your question, but it's more of the thought process behind what you're asking. The bottom line is that I like to think that I start every project from a fresh perspective, but is to the extent possible.
Well, whatever you're doing, it's clearly working out because you're working on cool stuff. So, Trent, do you think it could be time for the Big Kahuna final question?
I think it could be time. No, don't get too worried.
Big Kahuna.
Yeah. Don't get too scared. It's just we ask this of every guest. What's the last great movie you've watched? And it can be a rewatch, but it has to be great, not just good.
Oh man.
And that's the reaction we usually get
from the great minds of our industry.
Yeah.
So, that's great. Is this like of recent movies, like of the last year, or just
it can be anything
I watched recently that I was like,
it could be on Netflix, could be a Blu-ray, could be in theaters.
Last great movie. Well, a movie that I watch in the last couple of years, in particular, a couple times a year, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, I have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood poster on my wall to the side of me.
Get out of here!
And that's
all
Parth's
right.
background.
Did I win? I won. Yeah. Okay, I won. Yeah, that's a flawless movie.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
And every time I watch it, I learn something new. I see something new. Either whether it's from the directing or the writing or the acting or the editing or the cinematography, there's so much in that movie that is great. It kind of makes me want to quit. I'm just like,
it's all there.
I can't. Like, what? I just be watching movies. I have no business making movies.
Have you read his novel version?
I'm listening to the audiobook of right now.
Cool. Yeah.
And I like the parts that he narrates, but it's really interesting. It's because you watch his movies and you really become curious about, his process. Like actually the reason I started listening to it, because I was doing a lot of these interviews for Ahsoka, and the question kept coming up, like, what were your influences? Where did you start? And it made me start thinking about what we grow up on, like what a filmmaker grows up on largely defines how they approach their careers, like what they become interested in. And look, he grew up during a very interesting time of the late 60s and early 70s movies where like there was just so much experimentation. And I grew up in a time when it was Star Wars and, Lucas and Spielberg and Zemeckis and Donner and all that stuff. And of course there were other, dramatic things going on, and Coppola was doing his things. But the thing that like what my parents wanted to go watch, I would just get tagged along to, and they liked the bigger Hollywood movies. And that to me, like big expansive worlds and stories with this heightened reality was just what I got brought up on. And there's no way to deny that affected me in a major way, and it wasn't until I was, a teenager that I started like discovering, like old movies and dramatic movies and understanding and finding a love for that stuff. So it's interesting to hear Quentin, who's more well-spoken than pretty much anybody on earth about anything, talk about those influences, and I find like the way he speaks about his reaction to a lot of these things is very similar to reactions I would have.
I read his cinema speculation book pretty recently, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's the one I'm listening to.
Okay.
That's cinema speculation. Yeah. That audiobook. Yeah. Not the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. So,
well, we don't want to keep you too long. We've
no, it's been
gone
fun.
over on
you guys
time.
are great.
But
those really good questions.
Thank you.
Sorry I didn't have better answers. It's just you guys ask these things that kind of catch me off guard and really make me think. So
no, you had excellent answers. I was thinking that to myself. I was like, this guy has a lot of smart things to say. And speaking of that, thank you to our guest, cinematographer Eric Steelberg, who's worked on such cool films as 500 Days of Summer, Up in the Air, Dolomite Is My Name, and of course our film for today, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, which Parth and I are excited to see on Tuesday. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Hope you guys enjoy it.
What an interview.
Wow. Gee whiz, Parth. Are you more
Eric or are you more Steelberg? Trent,
yeah,
would you say?
Literally, I was just about to say that. But since you already said it, thank you, Eric Steelberg, cinematographer of a bunch of cool films, for coming on and talking with us. You were very fun, very
kind
willing,
man.
very kind, very interesting, and we appreciate you. Very genuine, and we hope to see you on down the trail, cowboy.
Oh, okay.
And
we do actually hope to talk with him about SNL 1975. Hopefully, both parties can make that work. But yeah, thank you so much to him. As for what we've got coming up next,
for the rest of you cowpokes,
it's a little unclear. I was explaining to Trent my fucked schedule for the next month. So we'll see sort of what that allows. It might be an interview. We've got some interesting ones lined up, but
yeah, you were telling me about that in real life, and I was like, Parth, I know we haven't released an episode in like a month, but it seems like we have some cool stuff on deck. Parth, even if your release schedule gets a little bit more sporadic, it's not like the show is any less meaningful or less consistently released.
So I'm gonna end that sentence right there because it's been pretty inconsistent lately. But
Parth, we were good for like a couple of years there.
Oh, we sure were. We had a good run. Now it's time for us to tell the audience that's already listening to this episode where they can continue to listen to this episode, because apparently they'll just forget if we don't tell them every week.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this and then in the middle of me saying this, you like accidentally close out and delete the app in which you're using to listen to this, then this applies to you. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, frankly, wherever, or if your name is Frank, frankly, our podcast is wherever you get your podcasts, and then if you're just like want to connect with Parth or I, or just like find out what the deal is, just like, or want like a mainstream source of news and consistent, trustworthy, reliable updates, current events on your area, on global events. You just want to go. You're sorry, probably change its screensaver again. You're gonna wanna. I don't even particularly understand why this is funny, but it was just startling to me. It seems like it's a movie poster or a DVD promotion for the movie Frank. It says hashtag Frank. I haven't seen that movie. It's a good cast though.
It's supposed to be good.
Scoot McNairy. I was about to say that's an unfortunate name, but maybe it's not so bad. It's not like Skeet Ulrich. So, like I was saying before, Parth rudely interrupted me. If you're feeling out of touch with like the world or your family, or you're like depressed, you're just gonna wanna, or you like ran out of your medication, you're gonna want to go ahead on Instagram or Twitter and follow Craft Services Pod. That's our social media handle. And then pretty much any ailment you have, pretty much any problem you have will instantly be resolved. And Parth and I, as will Parth and I's financial woes, and Parth's anxiety and stress will all be absorbed by the financial freedom gained by your followership.
Yeah, so I mean that's like 60% true. But yeah, if you could go follow us on all the pertinent social medias and listen to us where you listen to your podcasts, that would be quite wonderful, and we will be there for you next week with a new episode.